Ngara is an ISPAC member by any chance?
This is a chief officer. He may not be.
He's not an ISPAC member.
You know,
so Nyandani is the old one.
Is it the guy who had international relations at our last meeting? Is still the chief officer? Finance.
Yes.
The IR guy.
Oh, he's an international relations guy.
Yeah.
So he should be bridging international relations between China and Kenya.
Where
the chief officer. Or the British chair.
Well, those relations are international unless you want to read more than what is apparent. Members, let's make progress. We said that the clerks of Parliament, in our invitation, will make it explicit that part of the delegation accompanying the CEO should be the signatories to the financial statements, the chair of the county audit committee, as well as the secretary of the audit committee. And the secretary of the audit committee is the internal auditor, beside the chair of the public accounts committee. We want to have the right people in the room so that we can have a comprehensive conversation. So members, let's take note that whereas the OAG says that the documents have been provided, the county has not demonstrated any effort to implement the recommendation of the committee to reprimand or to take administrative action on the officers. We shall render our report and take it to the House, because the Public Audit Act says that anyone who fails to implement the recommendations of the committee without providing a good cause, I think there's a way it's framed. Does it say commits an offense or can be found to be in contempt of Parliament, and the committee may propose certain administrative action? Actually, that's where the law gives us the power as Parliament to make HR-related decisions. You fail to take, and I think it's important to read that provision. Mark Gashanja had read it the other day. Malcolm.
Chair, as Malcolm reads, I think you were busy consulting. The governor was on record to apologize, so you can factor in before making that ruling. Because he apologized for that oversight, so that you add other rule. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, proceed. Read that provision.
The chair will read implementation, section 53 of the Public Audit Act, implementation of reports by an accounting officer. Subsection 1, the relevant accounting officer of a state organ or public entity shall within 3 months after Parliament has considered and made recommendations on the audit report, A, take the relevant steps to implement the recommendations of Parliament on the report of the Auditor General, or B, give explanations in writing to the Parliament on why the report has not been acted upon. Subsection 2, failure to comply with the provisions of subsection 1, the accounting officer shall be in contempt of Parliament or County Assembly, and upon determination by Parliament or relevant County Assembly, Parliament or the relevant County Assembly may recommend administrative sanctions such as removal of the accounting officer, reduction in rank, among others.
I think when we are doing a report, we shall refer to that provision of the law and make the necessary recommendation.
Chair, because we are still within the 3 months, and given that the governor could still be ready to render some administrative action, is it then possible to give them some few days to act, or at the lapse of before we do report writing? Or if they don't within the 3 months, then we take that part, that direction we take.
Chair, point of order. He has already pronounced himself.
I think, honorable members, let's refer to that provision. We can have this conversation when you're making our recommendations to the House. Governor?
Chair, again, I want to agree with what Senator Maluma just mentioned.
No, if you are reopening my ruling, then that will not be allowed.
Chair, it's not opening.
I think let's leave it at that point.
Yes, I wanted to inform you that, again, as we are appearing before you, we're within the 3 months that you gave us. Therefore, if I will indulge you, that if it's possible, there are any other response.
Chair, the governor does not have power to indulge you.
Governor, these are very small matter. We have much bigger issues in this report. Let's leave that matter where it is. It is within, not after. So within could mean the first day, or it could mean the last day. And in any case, our resolution was made on 27th of March. Even if you are talking of after 3 months, you'll remain with only three or 4 days to get there. So let's leave this matter to the wisdom of the committee so that we deal with far weightier issues on this report. OAG, the third issue that we're taking off.
Chair, that's page 27, issue number 32, delayed alteration and renovation to the governor's office at Old Municipal Building. Again, this is complete. We have seen the completion certificate. The building is currently in use.
Same observation, Auditor General. You did not refer to our recommendation in marking the matter as closed. Is there evidence of administrative action taken against the officers?
Chair, no. There is no evidence in terms of administrative action that has been taken.
Governor, despite provision of the documents, how did you deal with the delayed submission of documentation as per our committee recommendation?
Chair, again, is the same approach. I want to say that, again, I will apologize on the point of not providing documentation showing that there was an action, administrative action taken to my people. But I want to say they are there.
So, OAG, the work is complete. At least as far as effectiveness is concerned, we can tick.
Yes, Chair.
So,
the work is complete. And
so the issue could just be the lawfulness aspect.
The delay part of it, that's what the audit has really raised. Is the project has been delayed.
Yeah, that's
currently
part of the lawfulness.
Yes,
because
yes.
If the Public Audit Act requires the entity to do something and they don't do, so you can say you have ticked it for effectiveness, but not necessarily for lawfulness. You are required to report on effectiveness and lawfulness of public expenditure. Delayed alteration and renovation could point to both, but now you are telling us it is complete, so it is effective. There is value for money.
Yes.
But lawfulness, there is some breach of the law somewhere because the documentation was not provided when required as per the Public Audit Act. Are we on the same page, Dr. Eric?
Yes, yes.
Fine. So we shall also deal with this as we had recommended on the other one, perhaps refer to Section 51 of the Public Audit Act and maybe find the accounting officers to be in breach and contempt of Parliament. Next, resolved issue.
Chair, I think those are the 4 issues that has been resolved.
So those are 4.
Yeah.
So when you made your report on 31st of December, there were 64 issues. When the county appeared before us on when we sent our report to the House on 27th of March, we had 52 issues. And today, on 23rd of June, we have 48 issues outstanding. It means how many have been resolved so far? 16. We have 16 issues resolved from the initial 64 in the audit certificate to the 48 remaining here. OAG, is that the case?
Correct, Chair. That's the position.
So the question is, how do we deal with these 48 issues? Do we conduct an audit here? Or we direct the Auditor General to subject them to comprehensive scrutiny in the next audit cycle? Now, in terms of best practice corporate governance, that's what usually happens, that when the entity is unable to explain something, either the committee pronounces itself and puts in place sanctions, or it allows the auditor to report on them in the next audit cycle as prior year issues. We have had a lengthy discussion as a committee, and we have generally resolved that most of these unresolved issues should form part of the next audit cycle. However, there are certain issues that are so significant that we must pay attention to them, even if they are still going to be referred to the next audit cycle. And I think the elephant in the room is a wage bill. So, Auditor General, let's go to your finding on the wage bill, and then let's see how the county has responded and what measures are being taken to deal with that.
Small request, Chair.
Yes, Senator.
If you go to the report on the Senate County Public Accounts Committee on their report, the basis that gave the qualified opinion, I would really wish to you that we follow this structure, because you have each and every item which has been raised, and those which have been answered, I think you've talked about them. Those you are not, we then run through them. If there is no explanation and all that, then we make the recommendations. In other words, I feel like we are scattering too much all over the place, and yet we have a report here which has been given by the Auditor General on each and every item. I'd rather we go through each and every item according to your recommendations in terms of the ones which are critical, but the ones which you're feeling that the issues can be discussed later after he has done an extra audit, then I would recommend that we look at it that way. I don't know what you feel about it.
I understand where the senator is coming from, but this particular year we did things a bit differently, because traditionally what you have suggested is what we have always done, because it's the first time we are getting the responses of the county on the issues raised by the Auditor General. Now this year, and I'd explained it earlier, that whatever we did this year does not seem to deliver value. We must change the system in the next year. This year we allowed self-reporting by the entities. We allowed them to send written responses. Then we analyzed the written responses and made recommendations. And then the House agreed with our recommendations. Today, we want to find out whether our recommendations were implemented. Already, the Auditor General has done an assessment. So, for example, on unexplained voided transactions, the OAG has told us it has not been addressed.
Chair, so, I'm with you. So now you are okay.
Yes.
Now I'm where you are.
So in the past, we would go to the issue and open it up and go to the supporting schedules and perhaps do an audit. We realized that it was not the best use of this committee. So I just want to persuade you that whatever we have here has already been processed and taken to the House. And the auditor has done a verification. If the auditor says it is not addressed, I do not think that there is any convincing that the governor can do to tell us that it is addressed. So the remaining 48 issues remain unresolved and to be carried in the subsequent audit. But there is an issue which recurs, I think it's in 4, 5, 6, 7 different paragraphs. Compensation of employees, irregular recruitment, wage bill and lack of fiscal responsibility. I think we owe the people of Kisii an explanation as to why your wage bill is at 68%. The rest of the transactional issues, interest, lack of documents, unsupported expenditure, if the auditor says it is unsupported, it is unsupported. There's nothing we can do about it. And when we are writing our report, we will just make recommendations for investigations and prosecution.
And for
Senator
the
Baruma.
comfort of the senator, if an issue is not addressed, then in the next audit report, it would appear well enumerated to the end, so it will not get lost.
I am actually agreeing with you. In other words, I had not got, when we had the pre-meeting, chairman said that whatever that has already been concluded, we leave it alone. So my suggestion is proceed, sir.
Correct.
I am comfortable.
And just to buttress this, I know we have been in this committee. In the past, the auditor used to have just one paragraph saying prior year issues. We have agreed with the auditor that all these 48 must appear in the next audit report. In fact, we'll have a very long audit report because it will have prior year issues outstanding plus the issues that are recurring in the subsequent year. Members, are we on the same page? Governor, are we aligned, or you want us to go the route of counting cents and coins?
I think we're in agreement, Chairman.
Fine. So why don't we look at the issue of wage bill, that finding, because it's going to bring together a number of other related issues. Auditor General, what was your observation on wage bill?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. This is paragraph 2 of non-compliance with the fiscal responsibility principles. 2.1 was development expenditure, but 2.2 is wage bill. The statement of the receipt and the payments reflect a compensation of the employees amounting to Kenya shilling 5,647,519,403, representing 68% of the county executive total revenue for the year of Kenya shilling 8,284,558,775. This was contrary to Regulation 25(1) and A of the Public Finance Management County Government Regulation 2015, which provide that the county government expenditures on the wage bill and the benefits shall not exceed 35% of the county government's total revenue. In the circumstances, the management was in breach of the law.
Clerk of the Senate, what was our recommendation?
Thank you, Chair. The first recommendation was that the management should strictly adhere to the provisions of paragraph 25, 1B of the PFM County Government Regulations 2015, which stipulates that the county wage bill shall not exceed 35% of the county's total revenue. And recommendation number 2 was that the county executive puts in place measures to enhance its own source revenue collection to address the high wage bill gap. Thank you, Chair.
Governor, what action have you taken?
Chair, as I will read the action that you have taken, but bearing in mind, Mr. Chairman, that this is a problem, it's a perennial problem that we have found in office, and we are trying gradually to see how we sort it out. Earlier, we were discussing about what we have addressed on issues of wage bill on ECD teachers. You realize that we are talking about minimum wage, where we are earning 12,000. Therefore, now the wage bill has to go up.
Governor, it's a good explanation, but let's start by looking at your response on record, and then after that you can make the explanation.
Sure, what we have done is the county government.
It's on page what of your response?
Page 8 of 46.
Okay, members, I hope you are there. You may proceed.
Chairman, the county government to put measures to curb the increase of wage bill. The county government aimed to increase its own source revenue and diversify revenue inflows, including funds from alcohol fund, facility improvement fund, in the forward budget. This was not there before. We were not declaring that money. But now, going forward, we have factored in the forward budget, Mr. Chairman.
So, Governor, you have recited what we recommended. What we needed was your action, your demonstrable action. And this is not a matter that is new to us, because we have previously invited you to discuss the issue of employees. You are on public record. We take judicial notice that you made some very dramatic, you took some very dramatic action upon assumption of office on this matter, and I think many people thought that it was the right thing to do. Now the question is whether it is delivering the right results. So we have expected that we'll get more of what have you done. You told us about a task force. You told us about frustrations with the Public Service Board. At our last meeting here, you didn't have a substantive chair and a secretary to the County Public Service Board. You know, specific, measurable, realistic and time-bound action. What you